FIFA President Gianni Infantino said that he met with Donald Trump and that the U.S. president has told him Iran will be welcome at the 2026 World Cup in the United States. This is despite the ongoing war between the countries. Infantino revealed on Instagram that he met Trump on Tuesday to discuss preparations for the tournament. The FIFA president said the two also spoke about the current situation in Iran. He further said, and I quoted here, "During the discussions, President Trump reiterated that the Iranian team is of course welcome to compete in the tournament in the United States. We all need an event like the FIFA World Cup to bring people together now more than ever, and I sincerely thank the President of the United States for his support as it shows once again that football unites the world." Trump just told FIFA that Iran is welcome to play in the 2026 World Cup on U.S. soil. This happened in a private meeting with FIFA President Gianni Infantino at the White House on Tuesday. The timing is wild. The U.S. and Israel attacked Iran weeks ago, killing the supreme leader. Iran fired back with missiles and drones across the Middle East. Yet Trump personally assured FIFA that Iran's team will compete all 3 group matches in American cities. The irony is thick. Trump publicly hammers Iran constantly, but privately he's rolling out the red carpet. Here's what actually went down, and why Trump had no choice but to say yes. The private promise versus public war. Infantino met with Trump on Tuesday and posted about it on Instagram the same day. Here's exactly what he said Trump told him. The Iranian team is of course welcome to compete in the tournament in the United States. That's the direct quote. Now compare that to what Trump said just days earlier to Politico. He called Iran a very badly defeated country and said he really didn't care if they played. That's a complete 180 in 72 hours. And there's a reason for it. Iran was the only nation that skipped FIFA's planning summit in Atlanta last week. That was a huge red flag. Everyone noticed. It sparked real questions about whether Iran would actually show up for the tournament. And that's when Infantino went into crisis mode. He needed Trump to say something publicly that could convince Iran's government it was safe to send their team. The diplomatic cover story is that football unites the world and all that, but the real issue is that FIFA cannot afford to lose Iran from this tournament. This happened before. Indonesia refused to host Israel for the U20 World Cup back in 2023. One country said no, and FIFA had to move the entire tournament to Argentina weeks before it started. It was a complete disaster. Trump knows this history. He knows FIFA can't afford to have a nation pull out. So when Infantino basically came to him and said, "We need you to say Iran is welcome," Trump had no real choice. He flipped. Iran's scheduled matches are brutal right now. They're facing New Zealand and Belgium in Los Angeles on June 15th and 21st, then Egypt in Seattle on June 26th. All on U.S. soil during an active war. Here's where it gets worse. If both the U.S. and Iran finished second in their groups, they could face off in a knockout match on July 3rd in Dallas. The optics of that alone probably terrified FIFA. Imagine the headlines. Imagine the security nightmare. The real story is that Trump realized his greatest World Cup ever doesn't work without global participation. It doesn't work if you're banning enemies from competing. He needs the drama, the tension, the global stakes. He needs Iran in the tournament because without them, the whole event feels smaller. It's not about diplomacy or unity. It's about Trump wanting to host something massive, something undeniable, something people will remember. And that requires everyone, even the countries he's publicly attacking, to show up and play. The stability play. Why Canada and Mexico are really running this show. Trump had to make this call because the World Cup is co-hosted by the US, Mexico, and Canada. And here's the thing, FIFA knows the US side is chaotic. Mark Carney and Canadian leadership have been the diplomatic anchors for this tournament from day one. While Trump is flip-flopping on Iran one week, attacking, the next week inviting, Canada and Mexico are quietly managing the actual logistics, security, and diplomatic relationships that hold this thing together. FIFA's World Cup chief operating officer said something that basically reveals the whole situation. He said, "The tournament is too big to be postponed. They're taking it day by day and hoping everyone shows up. That's the reality. They're not confident. They're managing crisis mode one country at a time. The Iranian Football Federation president Mahi Taj was openly questioning participation after the attacks. He went on Iranian state television and said, "What is certain is that after these attacks, it's hard to look at the World Cup with hope." And then he added something even sharper. He said, "Who in their right mind would send their national team to a place like this? That's not someone who's decided to show up. That's someone on the edge of pulling out completely." But Infantino's meeting with Trump wasn't really about diplomacy. It was about political cover. He needed a quote from Trump, something he could tell Iran's government so they could tell their people. The US president said, "You're welcome." That's pure theater. And it works because both sides understand the script. Trump gets to look like he's hosting the greatest World Cup ever. Iran gets to tell its government they were assured by the American president himself. FIFA gets to move forward without an official withdrawal. And it works because Trump needs the win of hosting a successful World Cup more than he needs to maintain his hardline Iran rhetoric. He's willing to contradict himself publicly because the image of the tournament matters more than consistency. That's the joke in the title. Trump doesn't demand Iran plays because he has power here. He demands it because he has no choice. Everyone knows it. FIFA knows it. Canada knows it. Iran knows it. The unspoken backbone of this whole thing is Canadian stability. While the US is managing geopolitical crises and Trump is doing his political theater, Canada is handling the actual tournament coordination, the logistics, the security protocols, the diplomatic relationships with all the nations competing. Mexico is doing the same on their side. There are the adults in the room making sure this thing doesn't fall apart, while the host nation's president is playing politics with the teams he invited. What's next? Iran has to decide if it's actually safe to send their team right now. The Iranian government is watching how their players are treated, and any incident could spiral into a major diplomatic crisis. Trump's assurance only matters if it holds. And we've seen how quickly his positions shift. The real test comes in June when the tournament kicks off and we see if this actually works. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you catch the moment. Iran either confirms or pulls out. Drop your prediction in the comments. Do you think Iran actually shows up?